Hey everyone, Happy New Year and welcome back to another episode of Live with Rye. Happy 2022. Wow, we made it and we are here. A new year and so many more possibilities. Hey, I just want to thank you for all your continued support over these last few years. It means the world to me. So many exciting things are coming up. I will try my best to continue this weekly talk show every week with new guests or, guests from that I've had on in the past. With the new talk show that I'm doing in person, it's becoming hard to keep up with both, but make sure you continue to follow me on social media at Rye_Myers to see everything that I'm doing. And the biggest thing though, if you do want to keep up with what I'm doing, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which if you're watching on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button because this is where I'll post all of my interviews, obviously from Live with Rye, where you can watch live. And when I do my live show at Bar 9, which resumes this week, and I'm very excited about. I'll also be streaming it on Facebook as well, and on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I couldn't think about that for a second. So again, Live with Rye and Friends on Broadway, Thursdays at 7:30. I'm super excited for that. We're coming back with season 2, and hope you all will be able to join us. Just remove that. It's a one-man show here. But again, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media. Again, hit that subscribe button. I'm so happy to see all of you, and welcome back to 2022. I'm happy to be recording this, and Broadway is officially back. So anyway, I just want to thank you all for your continued support. It means the world to me. And let's get on with today's show. I am very excited to welcome my special guest, the first guest of the new year on this show, someone who's created something extra special, and especially in this last 2 months since this legendary composer has passed, it's really taken on, I think, even more of a new meaning. So please help me welcome the incredible Phil Geoffrey Bond. Hey, Phil.
Hi, Rye. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Where are you? It looks like it's very sunny there.
Oh, it looks like it's sunny, but it's not. It's very overcast. I'm about an hour north of New York City in Garrison, New York.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it looks very sunny. I thought maybe you were somewhere warm. And
No, it's just good lighting.
It looks great. So, So take me back. How did Sondheim Unplugged first get started?
Well, it was Sondheim's 80th birthday in 2010. And there were all these big concert celebrations. I don't know if you were in New York in 2010, but it was a big deal. Just as his 90th would have been, but unfortunately because of COVID, we didn't get to do much for that, except for that great online concert that Ralph Sparza hosted. But I went to a lot of the concerts, and I was sitting in the audience at one of them at City Center. And I thought it was great, and it was an enormous orchestra, and Mia Farrow hosted it, and all these famous people were in it, and it was amazing. But I was running the Laurie Beachman Theater at the time, which is a small 100-seat theater on 42nd and 9th, and I wanted to do something to commemorate his birthday as well. So I thought, well, I'll just do something small with maybe a trio or something. And then I thought, well, let's just use a piano, and we'll concentrate on the brilliance of the melodies and the lyrics. So we'll just do a vocalist and piano, and we'll try to get some people in who originated roles in Sondheim musicals, which fortunately enough, I knew a few. So we did that. And it was just supposed to run through July. It was just a summer show, to sort of fill space in July and pay tribute to Sondheim. And, by the end of July, we were turning people away at the door. So we decided to continue and, knock whatever theater gods there are 11 years later. Here we all are still doing it.
Well, that is absolutely incredible. And what a few, 10 years it's been since doing that, because the new album, Sondheim Unplugged, the NYC Sessions Volume 1, which you have right there, a beautiful, beautiful album and beautiful design, was released on December 1st. And then the 3-volume collection is due out next year, including, I believe, Volume 2 is on Sondheim's birthday, correct?
Yeah, it'll be released on March 22nd, and we're doing that in side by side, but with 2 shows at 54 Below at 7 and 9:45 in tribute to Sondheim, what would have been Sondheim's 92nd birthday. And the 9:45 show will be live streamed, so people not in New York can check that out online.
That's really special. And this sort of has a residency at 54 Below, if I remember seeing correctly, right? It comes to 54 often. You used to be involved with 54.
Well, we're at 54 pretty much the last Sunday of every month, with the exception of July and August, which we take off. Pretty much that's our schedule. And, we do one-offs here and there, and in other places. We play London regularly. Yeah, I was the original director of programming at 54 Below, which is now Feinstein's 54 Below. And then I was the director of original programming there. And now I just do my little Sondheim show.
What a career. That is really exciting. I mean, that's
It was exciting for a while, and God bless Jennifer Ashley Tepper, who does that job now.
yes, yeah. Oh, I don't know how you do it or how she does it. I love her. You know, it's got to be a tough job.
She's amazing. She's a force of nature.
Yes. Did Sondheim ever hear about these shows, or did he ever attend or lend any support or advice in the creation of these Sondheim Unplugged
He
shows?
did. He did. He found out about it a few years into our run, which I found out through mutual friends. And he told mutual friends that he would love to come if he could come in disguise, because he didn't want to be mobbed. Because you can imagine walking in, it'd be like kind of walking into, a tribute to yourself.
Yeah.
So he emailed me via his assistant, and he said, could we just see some clips of the show? So there were plenty of clips on YouTube, which live on our website now. So I sent those. And he said, I'm going to try to find a date to come. And then Sondheim and I were in touch via email. And we never really found a date, but we did do a movie version. During COVID, we filmed it as part of a series called 54 Premieres. So we professionally filmed it with 3 cameras at 54, and it was a sort of a subscription thing. And he was able to see that, so he appreciated that very much. And he did receive the CD shortly before he passed, and he sent me a very nice thank you note for it. I don't know if he ever listened to it, because I received a letter from him dated November 18th, and I received it on the 26th. And 20 minutes after I read his letter, my phone started blowing up, and we found out that he had indeed passed. So we know that he held the CD in his arms, in his hands. We don't know if he ever actually heard it.
Oh my gosh, wow, that is truly special. I mean, that gave me goosebumps just listening, hearing that. So do you got one of his iconic letters, I'm sure, because I'm sure you've seen on Instagram, there's that account, Sondheim Letters. So he wrote you back typed and signed with his signature?
Yeah, that's a great account if anyone doesn't know about it on Instagram, Sondheim Letters. I have a couple of letters from him throughout the years, and so now I'm in the process of getting them framed and hanging them in prominent places in my home. I didn't really know Sondheim, terribly well. We knew of each other. We emailed a few times. We met, but we weren't like best friends or anything like that. But boy, his loss is so profoundly felt, as you know, not only in the theatrical community but all over the world.
And what an impact that he had on so many lives, and the kindness and generosity that he offered to so many. What you just described is what I've heard from so many who have interacted with him, where he would email or he would write and, just lend his support. Of course, he was very witty and very, frank sometimes in his letters, or very, direct, but he was always very charming, very open to lend support. I mean, even you look at the late Jonathan Larson, who he sort of mentored as well. So that's extraordinarily special. About 3 years ago, I got a signed playbill from him when he was at Sweeney Todd was downtown. I sent my playbill to him, and he signed it. Of course, he spelled my last name wrong, but it was still really cool to have. And I do treasure it even more now that he has passed, unfortunately. And with the unfortunate passing of this legend, what new meaning does the project and the album now take on for you, now that we've unfortunately have this legend, Sondheim, no longer with us in the community?
Well, it was a blow to us all. We found out, of course, on the 26th, and we were scheduled to do the show at 54 on the 28th. So less than 48 hours after his passing, we had to get back on stage and do the show. So we immediately had to redo the show and make it not necessarily somber, but we of course had to acknowledge what had just happened. I think the genius of Sondheim, among many genius things, is that his work will continue to give. It's like an onion, and you keep peeling it and peeling it and peeling it. You'll always find something new. I'm terribly sad that he's left us, but look at the incredible body of work that he's left us, and that just doesn't change, and it will never change. And I often refer to him in the same sentence as people like Sophocles and Euripides and Shakespeare, and these are people whose works are immortal, and I think that Sondheim will be immortal in the same way that those artists are.
100%. And the fact that he truly has touched really every single person's life in America, whether you follow musical theater or not. I mean, you think of, for instance, how iconic West Side Story is, and sort of that, everyone knows that pretty much in America, and he's left that, whether they know it or not, he was a part of that. And so Stephen Sondheim will always, I think, be in every person's life, even if they don't realize it.
Yeah, it's very well put. I like that.
Yeah, so thank you. What is the most fascinating thing you've learned about Sondheim during the run of these shows and the creation of Sondheim Unplugged?
Oh, you learn something every time you do it. There are these little jokes hidden in the music that you might not hear until you've heard the song 500 times.
Yeah.
I often go to actors when they bring something in and that they're working on, and I say, he's really already done it for you. You don't have to do a lot. It's all there in the music and the lyrics. Which is one of the things that makes our show so interesting, is that there's no orchestration. We just boil it down and listen to the brilliance of those music and those lyrics, and it's done. It's a perfect blueprint. Of course, you need to bring yourself to it, but you don't have to give it anything, because he's already done it for you.
Wow. And that's the beauty of how special he was. For those who may not know, or who haven't listened to the volume 1 yet of the CD, can you tell us a few names that you have on volume 1 of the Sondheim Unplugged NYC Sessions?
Oh, sure. We have some great people. Just so everyone knows, it's going to be 3, as you mentioned, 3 volumes. The second will be released on March 22nd, and the third on June 1st. It's 126 tracks and over 70 vocalists. And these are all people who have been in our show throughout the last 11 years. So on volume 1, we've got Sally Mays does a killer Send in the Clowns. We've got Daniel Furland, who was the original Louise in Sunny with George, and the original Little Red Riding Hood and Into the Woods, does an amazing version of Children in Art from Send in the Clowns. Annie Golden partners with Michael Winther to do a great Unworthy of Your Love. Jim Brochu sings from Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Claiborne Elder, who's a Sondheim alumni currently in Company, does a marvelous Color and Light with Christina Bianco. There's a wonderful solo version of Sunday by a singer named Charlie Levy. So there's lots of great stuff on Volume 1. And then Volume 2, we have even more special guests. We have Jim Walton coming in to recreate his role from Merrily We Roll Along, and Ken Jennings from Sweeney Todd, and Sarah Rice from Sweeney Todd. And then in the future, we'll hear from Pamela Winslow Kashani, who was the original Rapunzel in Into the Woods. So we have a lot of the Terry Ralston is on Volume 1 also, singing In Buddy's Eyes from Follies, and she's going to sing some more in the future volumes. So we've been very lucky with the special guests, but also just, the people who have been sort of a part of this show for 11 years. Now their performances are memorialized in a way that will hopefully live on.
Oh, they certainly will. What an iconic names. What an iconic set of people you have involved in this. Oh my gosh, those are some great names, and the fact that they're sort of all connected to Sondheim is even more special. I mean, that is incredible. And as you said, Sally Mays' version of Send in the Clowns, I told you, before we came on, that I was listening to it last night, and I listened to that song particularly, and it was just beautifully done. I mean, as soon as that piano started and you heard the da 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 da, I was like, oh, and then she started, and I was like, oh, this is just beautiful. It was really, really well done.
Well, it took on new meaning for us, that song, because when we switched up the running order for the show we did on November 28th, right after he passed, I wanted to open with Sunday, because most people close with Sunday, right? So we opened with 5 singers singing Sunday, and then we went right into Send in the Clowns, which we would never do a ballad that soon in the show. But since everything was just so raw, and it sort of became, losing my timing this late in my career, it sort of became about Steve. And another testament to his work is it's so specific, yet so, in a way, ambiguous, that you can read all kinds of things into it. So it really was if I do say, poignant way to open the show, and everyone was crying. So we had to bring them right back, because that's not what Sondheim's about. But I gave us a pass for that particular show.
Well, good. I think that was a beautiful way to open the show, and I mean, such a loving tribute. And I do encourage everyone, please listen to this new album. If you are somebody that streams it, you can stream it on the many streaming platforms out there. I saw you mention, Phil, around December 5th, you had said it had over 15,000 streams digitally, correct?
Oh, it's way more than that now.
I was going to say it's probably way more than that now. But when I was researching, the last thing I saw, it was on your page, you said as of December 5th. So it's probably more than that now. But that has to be extraordinary.
Well, the last anyone informed me, it was over 35,000. But I believe that's the whole album plus individual songs. So it's not like 35 just for but then we don't have numbers for physical sales yet. And we're number 1 on Amazon amongst new releases of CDs of sound. I forget the category. I think it's soundtracks and musicals or something like that. Yes. But we've been number 1 since we released, and we're a month out now. So that's very exciting. And just when we thought nobody bought physical CDs anymore, apparently they do.
Apparently, I mean, that must have been a hot Christmas present and still a hot gift. I mean, that is really exciting. Yes, please, everyone, listen to it. So, with Sondheim's birthday being in March and Volume 2 set to release then, how will this take on new meaning? Will you be adding anything new to, Volume 2 since he has now passed? And what can we expect to hear on the second volume?
Probably not. I mean, I think the songs really speak for themselves. I don't think that we need to comment on his passing. Everyone knows that he passed. I will acknowledge it in the liner notes of Volume 2.
Yeah.
I don't want to reveal the set list for Volumes 2 or 3 yet because they're still just a little bit in flux. We haven't quite nailed them down, although we're pretty sure. So I don't want to, but the people I mentioned earlier, like I know Sarah Rice from Sweeney Todd and Ken Jennings from Sweeney Todd, they'll be on that album. And just a whole lot of great recordings that people are going to do some stuff from Passion. Really great stuff. Some great arrangements, but mostly we stay away from arrangements and we just do the songs as Sondheim wrote them.
And how the recording process for this must be so interesting. Did you record at least for Volume 1? Did you record in these sort of the last few months over COVID? There's been a lot of people who have released stuff presently that had to sort of deal with the challenges of recording virtually or recording digitally. How did your recording process work?
Well, it was our COVID project, and we started in November 2020 because we kept hearing from people on our Facebook page and places like, boy, we really miss coming to the show. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, we could do a CD. So I thought, what would we put on the CD? Well, I couldn't really narrow it down to 14 or 15 tracks over 11 years. So I thought, well, let's just record everything. So we brought everyone in over the course of 14 sessions. And we were sort of in and out of studios because we started in November and then everything shut down again. And then when we were allowed back in the studios, I had to, sign a lot of contracts and we had to hire a COVID compliance officer and everything was very sanitary and masked and we wiped everything down between vocalists. But we got everyone in between November 2020 and I think we did our last recording session. Pam Myers from Company was in town for the Company opening. So we brought her in to record for us. So our last session was just last month, actually. But we got everyone in amidst all of that craziness. It wouldn't have taken us long were it not for COVID, of course, but I'm grateful that we were actually able to get it done. And we recorded 126 tracks.
Oh my gosh, what an accomplishment. That is a real feat. And the fact that you were able to pull that off is just incredible.
Well, it's also a feat to Joe Goodrich, our brilliant musical director, who, by the end of one of those sessions, after playing 12 or 13 songs, his fingers needed to be put in ice. The poor guy. But he made it through.
Well, shout out to him for sure. Are there any upcoming Sondheim Unplugged shows that you can tell us about or that we can know about and purchase tickets?
We're at 54 January 23rd. We'll be there February 27th. We will be there for 2 shows on Sondheim's birthday, as I mentioned, 7 o'clock and 9:45. The 9:45 will be streamed. And the 9:45, we have Danielle Furland and Jim Walton and Sarah Rice and Annie Golden and a bunch of Sondheim originals for that one. And then we're there April 24th, which is also Barbra Streisand's birthday. And we're there the last Sunday of May and the last Sunday of June. So we're there every month between now and June.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, I will definitely be making one of them for sure. I hope to make the January date because I'm really anxious and excited to see this done in person.
Please let me know when you're coming.
I will. And for the April date, Babs, if you're watching, I'm sure they would love to have you in that at 54 if you happen to be in the area. Barbara.
We'll make room for you, Barbara. We'll make room for you.
Oh, we definitely, they will. You're Barbara. What is the special memory you will always have of Sondheim? I mean, I know you mentioned that he's, you corresponded with him, but do you have a special memory that will always live in your heart?
Well, 2 come to mind. One was the first time I was exposed to Sondheim. I was 15 years old, and I lived in suburban Indiana. And PBS on Great Performances aired the 1990 New York City Opera production of A Little Night Music. And I didn't know what A Little Night Music was, but I loved it. And I didn't know, I knew about musical theater and I'd worked a lot in community theater and school theater, what have you, but I'd never heard a Sondheim score. And I just didn't know that a story could be told that way. A musical story could be told that way with such wit. And it was so interesting. And I fell in love with Charlotte and I just watched it over and over and over again. And so that was my first exposure to Sondheim. And then I got to run Spotlight in a community theater production of Side by Side by Sondheim. So that sort of cemented, little did I know it would become, part of my profession. And then I suppose meeting him, he the first time, he came to 54 Below to see Joanna Gleason's show. And I was the director of programming at the time. And I loved Joanna Gleason so much. And he came to see her show. And a mutual friend was sitting with him. And he said, "I'll introduce you," because this mutual friend had been to our show many times. He was a fan, and he introduced me. And I said, "Mr. Sondheim, thank you so much for so many years of remarkable music." And I said, I host this show here called Sondheim Unplugged. And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, Phil, I know all about it. I know all about it. You don't have to tell me about it. I would love to come sometime." And then he said, "Thank you very much for doing it." And I thought, "Thank you very much for doing it. What?" And I just about passed out. And that's my first in-person Stephen Sondheim story. And then he wouldn't take a picture with me.
Oh my God, I love that. That is such a great story.
He didn't like taking pictures. And I remember Chip Zien was there that night. He was guesting in Joanna's show, I think. And as he was leaving, I said, "Could we get a picture? Because that would have been great for me to have, but also for the show. We could put it up on the monitors." And he said, "Please forgive me. I just really don't like to do that." And apparently he just really did not like pictures of himself. And I salute him. I understand him for that. I don't really like looking at myself right now in the camera. So, but anyway, I went up to see Chip, and he said, "Yeah, I wish he wasn't like that, but he is. He just doesn't like to do stuff like that." So it is what it is.
Yes, but at least you got that special memory, and you have, as I said, those letters and everything. But that is incredible. And I love that he knew all about you, and he's like, "You don't have to tell me. I've heard all about you."
And this was before we had corresponded via email, or I'd sent him any clips, or we did the movie, or anything like that.
Wow, that is absolutely extraordinary. Just absolutely crazy. I'll never forget. For me, I was actually at the first preview back of Company in November of this past year, or 2021, when they had their reopening night, and he was in the audience. And that was, like many of us, was the last time I, would ever see him again. But that was truly special. And then right before COVID hit, at their very first preview in March of 2020, I had the chance to go, and afterwards attended the after party for the cast.
Did you?
And he was there, and I was like 4 feet away from him, and it was really just, spectacular.
I saw that clip of him coming out and being, saluted like a rock star. I loved that.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, I'm sure he was very happy, but also like, "Oh, please, no," because he's very humble. But it was a very special memory, and I'll never forget it.
Good for you that you were there. That's great.
Oh, thank you. So what is coming up next for you, Phil? Obviously, you have these Sondheim Unplugged New York NYC Sessions, but is there anything else you're working on that you can tell us about?
Well, nothing I can really talk about right now. Right now, between now and June, we're really absorbed with not only the shows at 54, but getting, volumes 2 and 3 out. And that's taking all of my time. And after we go through that, I'm going to go on a boat somewhere, if we're allowed to go on boats. And then I'll figure out the rest of my life. But for now, this is it.
I love that. Yes. Go on a boat and enjoy and relax. What advice would you have for those who want to take their love of a composer or someone they love in the musical theater industry and turn it into a show, be it a tribute show or even a one-person show, for somebody who is the master of it, such as you are? What would your advice be to them?
I don't know about that, but my first bit of advice is don't do a Sondheim show, because we're doing it already.
Right. Well, obviously, yeah.
Do what you love. Follow your passion. If you can find a way to follow your passion. It's so corny to say because everybody says it, but it's true. I happen to be fortunate enough to do what I love for a living. And if you can find a way to do that, do it. I was able to transfer my fascination with Stephen Sondheim into, something that's been running for 11 years. So I'm extraordinarily grateful for that. And, follow it. Even if you can't make a living at it at first or ever, follow it and do it.
No, it's so important. Follow it and go for it. It doesn't sound corny. Everyone says it, but it's so true. And when you do go for it, and you'd be surprised, as you said, look, you went for it, and look at how successful this has been for you. So yes, I love that. Yes, nobody do Sondheim, but if there's another composer or things that they like, for sure, that's special. And what I also find interesting, I really enjoy Andrew Lloyd Webber's works a lot. He was the first composer I got introduced to as a child that got into musical theater. And so he has a special place in my heart as well. But he shares the same birthday as Sondheim. And I thought how
cosmic
that these two legendary composers, who even when, Andrew Lloyd Webber is gone, both men will have a place solidified in the not only musical theater realm, but sort of in the world of everything, because of how much their music has touched people's lives.
I enjoy Andrew Lloyd Webber very much myself, and people like to sort of place him in this category of I don't know if camp's the right word, but
Yeah.
we did do an Andrew Lloyd Webber show at 54 for about a year, and we did it in the 9:30 slot, and it was great fun. And we had a 5-piece band, because most of that music really does require some kind of orchestration. It's very different than Sondheim's in that way. But just exploring the work from Cats and Aspects of Love and Jesus Christ Superstar and by Jeeves, and there's a lot of really fun stuff there to explore. So anyway, I know it's not what the interview is about, but I agree with you.
No, but you're right. But I will say what my point was that, for me, Joseph was the show that introduced me ever to what a musical was, what a musical is, back when I was in first grade. And so, I love Sondheim so much, and I love Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I just found it so interesting that, just it happened that they're both born on the same day. That's just extraordinary to me.
It is extraordinary. You're absolutely right. Did you ever see the Hal Prince tribute, in which they duet with each other in tribute to Hal, and they Stephen Sondheim meshed "Send in the Clowns" with "Music of the Night," and they sing it together. Oh, you look that up on YouTube. It's from Hey Mr. Producer, and they filmed it, and they're in the same room with the same piano, and Sondheim sings new lyrics for "Send in the Clowns," and Lloyd Webber sings new lyrics for "Music of the Night," and it's a mashup, and it's hilariously funny.
Oh, I'm going to look that up as soon as we get off of here. That's incredible. I love that. Now, where can we keep up with you? Where can we keep up with Sondheim Unplugged? What are sort of the social channels and the websites and all of that good stuff?
All you have to do is go to Sondheim Unplugged, and you can find plugs to all of our social media there. And I always post on our Facebook page the day after one of our performances. I always post the set list, just if you want to follow along and see who sang what and what shows we covered and what have you.
Amazing. So yes, go to their website, SondheimUnplugged.com, or you can follow them at Sondheim Unplugged on Instagram, Sondheim Unplugged on Facebook, and as well. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can keep up with me at Rye_Myers on IG, on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I'm on Facebook at Official Rye Myers. Again, that's Rye with an E, as I say, like Liza with a Z, as I love to say. And for those of you who are in the New York City area, remember that starting this Thursday, January 6th, my new Broadway talk show resumes for the new year. Lots of exciting guests and great prizes for my Broadway trivia. So I hope to see you 7:30 at Bar 9 in Hell's Kitchen, the only free talk show, the only free Broadway talk show in the heart of the Theater District, with no minimums, no covers, and no reservations. So Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. This has just left me filled with so much excitement, and I'm so happy. And I cannot wait to see a show one of these shows at 54 Below, and just wish you all of the best with all of this. And I know that volumes 2 and 3 will be just as extraordinary.
Well, thanks, Rye. I appreciate you having me on.